So with all the craziness in the world, Brent and I decided we needed a weekend getaway. So if you want to see our weekend getaway to Arkansas, Hot Springs, Arkansas, just keep on watching. So with everything going on, Brent and I decided to go on a weekend getaway, and we decided to go to Arkansas, which in hindsight, with everything going on, was not the best idea, because if you have been checking the polls, Arkansas voted very, very red, which, I mean, Texas voted red too, but we had a closer margin, okay? And so when we pulled in the Airbnb, to the Airbnb neighborhood, it's like this private, like, it's like a private gated neighborhood, but like super big, so big that it has like its own school, its own police department, like a whole thing. And then the street that we're on, the house at the end has a Trump Pence sign, and I'm like, okay, but it's super cute. So I hope that you enjoy watching our weekend getaway in Arkansas during the election of our nightmares. Stay tuned. So I want to give a Airbnb tour before we ruin it with our stuff. We also brought Hercules, so he's out with Brent getting all of our stuff in. But okay, let's do this. We gave her some little treats. They have like little dog treats for her. Yeah. We had an adventurous day. Traveling while pregnant is like such a journey because I'm exhausted all the time. But we went and got breakfast this morning at the golf course, and then after that we came back to the Airbnb and got Hercules and took him for a walk. And then after that we just kind of relaxed, and then we just came back from dinner, which is what you saw. I was so anxious at dinner because I was like, whoa, hello, Hurt. I was super nervous because there were literally like no black people at this restaurant, and I was just like anxious because the election and everything happened, and you know, tensions are high right now. But then a black family came in, and I was like, oh, okay, I feel much more comfortable. I feel able to relax. But we had a really good dinner, and so now I'm gonna do some skincare, and then, hi honey. Hi. I'm gonna do my skincare routine, and then we're just gonna wind down for the day. So this is what my skin looks like after doing all my skincare. My eyebrows are tinted. I tinted them before we came down here. And I can do a tutorial on how I tint my eyebrows if that's something that you want to see. But I moisturize with this. The phone was propped on it, so I couldn't show you. But yeah, I end my moisture with that. And yeah, I'm feeling extra, then I'll spray some rose water, but usually that's just my toner for the morning. But yes, that's my skincare. Are you happy? Have you had a lot of fun? He's always in the bathroom with me whenever I do skincare, whenever I use the potty, anything, right? You're my partner in crime. Okay, so I got Brent here. And we just thought that, I mean, with everything going on, we can't not talk about the election and our feelings about that, especially being an interracial couple, and especially with our ill-timed vacation to Arkansas during the election.
Out of all places.
Out of literally all places. We had been wanting to go on a weekend getaway for like a minute. And whenever we decided we were going to go on a weekend getaway, I was trying to find a place that's like drivable, like that isn't too far away. We'd already been to Oklahoma. Louisiana just like wasn't a vibe. And so then
It was really far.
Yeah, and so the only other option to get outside of Texas was Arkansas. And so we decided on Arkansas, and I just picked a weekend that was like 2 weeks away because then I could get off of work. And I really didn't think it through because we voted early. So after we voted, I didn't really think about the election anymore as much. You were still super into it,
yeah,
and really invested, but my heart got broken in 2016 when I was super invested and
scarred.
Yeah, so I was scarred, and I kept telling him, like, I was like, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm just terrified of my heart breaking again, because literally in 2016 I was like crying, sobbing, and remember what you told me? Whenever I was sobbing,
I said, "Don't freak out yet. He hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Like there's not a reason to freak out yet."
I want to be comfy like you. You can see the cute little bump, but I was so like hurt, and he was just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like, you can't mess up that bad." And then
4 years later,
yeah,
here we are.
It did not age well,
no,
by any means, but. Coming from the last election to this election, how have you been? Like, how has it been? Because, okay, so we are, can we say that we're Democrats?
Uh-huh.
We're Democrats in Texas. So that brings a complex kind of dynamic to us because where we live is red and has been historically red, right, Herc?
Very, very red.
And so, like, especially in the area where we live, it's very red, like Trump flag, Trump flag, Trump flag. Like Trump is like an idol to Republicans where we live. And it's ironic because a lot of them claim to be Christian, but yet they make an idol out of, you know, such a heinous man. That's a whole other topic.
It's a cult.
It's literally a cult. We know many people in the cult, so we can fully, with our entire chest, say that it is a cult. But what has it been like for you? Because Brent works in the blue collar field and I work in like the office field. So we both like work in completely different arenas. But so what's it like for you in like a field that's like majority Republican?
I'd say like at least 90-95% of the people working in my company are Trump supporters. They're absolutely Republicans, but maybe like just the tiniest percent less are full-on cult member Trump supporters, like obsessed with it to the point where if it's even known that you are not a Trump supporter, like they'll almost gang up on you. They'll treat you different. They'll gossip about you. They'll be sitting there talking and see you and like, oh, nothing, just disperse real quick. It's weird. It's really weird, but kind of like conflict. So, I've tried not to talk politics at work after talking politics at work for a long time, not getting anywhere with it except getting pissed off and then almost getting fired because all of my bosses are hardcore Trump supporters. Didn't piece that together. that maybe that wasn't a good idea. And this last week, where he wasn't doing too good, and it was pretty obvious he was going to lose, tensions were high, like very high. I would say the only people that didn't vote Trump at my work are minorities. That's it.
Yeah, and so for me, in my job, it is about 50-50. You have like the Trump supporters, then you have the people who are like unaffiliated, like won't vote either way, and then you have Democrats. And I mean, I feel like just in the field that I work in sexual violence. We serve survivors of sexual violence, and you know, when you think about sexual violence, I mean, like, what party comes to your mind when you think of like helping survivors of sexual violence?
Democrat, but more along the lines of it being tied to abortion and stuff like that. I think that's how Republicans end up being against it.
Yeah, but we don't do abortions or anything like that. So I think that's why we have like a mix of people there. But it gets, yeah. Oh my gosh, our government, like our local government, tried to like stick. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it or not, but it's definitely kind of weird because certain people in leadership are Democrats as well, and then there's also certain people in leadership who, oh my gosh, this place is haunted, who are like Republican, and so it gets very uncomfy. And I'm the type of person who I'm very invested and I get very excitable about these topics, and so I try not to engage in conversations with Trumpers about Trump antics. And so when I get in situations where I can't get out of it, then I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? But I'm like the complete opposite of Brent. Brent loves conflict. He loves to debate. He loves to like argue. And I do not. I'm just like, I don't want to. If I don't have to, like, why am I going to exert that energy? I have nothing to really say to you. If you, believe that way, that's on you. But I mean, I'm wearing my God is greater than the highs and the lows. And so, like, if you bring in Christianity into politics, then that's when I get heated, and that's when I want to, like, start debating, because I very much don't play. My biggest pet peeve is whenever people say, like, you can't be Christian and Democrat, because, like, that's just not the case. And so that's a good way to get me to debate real quick, is if you bring up Christianity and politics versus Brent. Brent's like, oh, you want to talk politics? Like, let me tell you why you're wrong. Let me pull up all the sources, and like wants a full thing on it. With the election, did you have high hopes that Biden was going to win?
Yeah, I knew he was going to win. I was sure of it since maybe like May or June or something, especially once they started polling. I started getting more confident, and then whenever the first votes were coming in and it looked like Trump was going to win, I wasn't worried about it, because I understood that majority of in-person votes would be Trumpers, because he did a disinformation campaign on mail-in voting, so none of his people would be voting by mail. So it's kind of like, it's like Biden was built for the late game. So you really just needed to wait. And I mean, with every single poll that you saw, even the far right-wing ones, were all killing it for Biden. And I did a lot of research on it, learned that polls, like, they were saying Hillary was going to win in 2016, but polls usually account for about a 3%. They could be off by up to 3% usually. And Biden was polling like 9% over Trump. So it was like, if these are even close to happening and voter turnout is good, then he'll win. And yeah, I was confident about it.
Yeah, I was like, I was scared to get excited. Like, even though things were looking like, okay, we're gonna win, I was still so scared to get excited, because like you said, like, Hillary was polling really well, and then she lost, and I was heartbroken. That was my first presidential election. Brent keeps yawning because we've been like rocking and rolling all day, and so we're both pooped.
It's only 7 o'clock too.
Yeah, this is like the pregnancy life. Like, we are just pooped doing the bare minimum. You're definitely going to wind down after this. But I did want to have this conversation because I think it's an important one. But I was very, very sad and like scared to get excited. So Brent was super hyped. And I was just like, I don't know, I'm scared to get excited. Like on election day, you called like, we're going to pick up some sparkling cider. Like, we're about to do this. And I'm like, okay, honey. Like, you are really, really excited. I'm scared to get excited. And then it really, looked like we were winning. So what do you think about all the voter fraud allegations?
I think Trump kind of hinted that was going to be his route months ago. There's something called the Red Mirage scenario where he would it was commonly known that his voters would mostly be in person and Biden's would be through the mail. Not most of Biden's would be through the mail, but most of the mail ones would be Biden's. Mm-hmm. So it made it pretty clear that he wanted to stop counting votes, stop counting mail-in votes after all the in-person ones were counted, which he did exactly. Like that was part of that was the entire reason for the mail-in voting thing. Along with the fact that Democrats usually don't vote as much. Their voter turnout's pretty low historically. Mm-hmm. And so if you can do it by mail, you don't have to go anywhere. That's going to have a lot higher voter turnout, and that would be the end of Donald Trump's presidency, and he knew that. I was fully aware that was going to happen, and I was worried about it. But what I learned was Biden knew about it too. Biden had plenty of lawyers ready. House of Representatives were aware of it. They were ready with lawyers. It might have worked. I truly think this would have worked if there was somebody else doing it that, wasn't an idiot and didn't straight up tell his plan to steal an election months in advance and give people time to prepare for it. Yeah. It was stupid. And the voter fraud stuff that everybody's repeating right now, these people have shown complete lack of critical thinking and just an immediately parrot anything that Donald Trump says, whether it makes sense or not. Yeah. And so I just don't even take it seriously at this point. Like, let them kind of peter themselves out. It's all they have left. They've lost. If they want to recount, they can have a recount. It literally costs money that will come out of Trump's campaign's pockets. Or probably ours. I don't know. Yeah, out of our taxpayer dollars. I don't think it's taxpayer dollars. I think it has to be funded by, unless it's completely necessary by the state. If it's just a party that wants it, I think it's funded by the campaign. So, Biden won legally. They can recount it, and it's just going to be the same result. So, I don't know. I don't think if you gave somebody evidence that there wasn't voter fraud, they would believe it. So it's kind of like, don't let it get to you. Let them do their thing for a while. Don't argue with them, because scared people are historically dangerous. Yeah. So genuinely. So speaking of scared people, or how people are, preparing for doomsday and all of that. The thing is that we are also, like we said, from the South, and so we went up, north a little bit to Arkansas, but I mean, we're still in the South. And so, what, from your experience, from your side, your perspective, has our trip been like, as far as like dealing with people and looks and stuff like that? Let me preface it with, when we go out places, we get a lot of looks, mm-hmm. and it's plainly obvious it's because we're interracial, mm-hmm. and we're usually holding hands, or you can see the rings on our finger. It's contrasts quite a bit. We get a lot of looks. In Texas, I don't think once we've had somebody be really negative or like say something like, that's not right, or you shouldn't be together, or anything like that, but the looks exist. Mm-hmm. Here it's different. It's like almost a shocked kind of disgust look, and it's constant. Like, we went to Walmart today, and I want to say the 10 minutes we were there's probably a total of 30 seconds we weren't getting stared at. Yeah. And I'm a little protective of her, and we've probably seen 10 black people since we've been here,
If
and
that.
less of any other minority too. It is all white people, and anytime somebody comes and talks to us, they'll be like, I'll be checking out at a register. She'll be behind me, and the person checking us out will be talking to me but looking at her, like talking to me, saying "sir" and stuff, but staring at her. It's the weirdest thing. Um, I hope it's just maybe they don't see black people very often, so they're just curious and they're not thinking bad things or negative things. I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, but I don't exactly. That's not the first thought that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Trump flags out here, a lot of Trump signs. Everywhere we've sat down or been able to hear other people's conversations, you hear Trump, 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 Trump.
Yeah.
You hear, oh, well, Trump's going to fight it in court, so we still have a chance and stuff like that. And then there's been one Biden sign, and then somebody asked her to take their picture at dinner tonight, like a group's picture. And somebody is like a group of old white people, and this lady goes, Biden for president, and you can see half the people's faces just drop like they're pissed. And we've been avoiding saying anything about Trump or Biden. We don't want any more attention on us, especially on her. But I thought that was hilarious. I like that.
It was so funny. So from my perspective, I was anxious. I was like, why didn't I plan this better? Like, this is the worst time to go to Arkansas in the middle of the woods. And like when we were driving up to the Airbnb, it was like dark and eerie, and I was just like, oh my gosh, we're gonna pull up on a Klan meeting, and I was stressed. And so when we got here, it's just like he said, there's barely any people of color. There's barely any people of color. And so when we first went to breakfast this morning, the waiters and waitresses were people of color, but the people who were sitting in the establishment were white. And so there was like this couple, like right when we walked in, and the guy like looked at us and he was like that, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm glad you're not serving my food, because you would definitely spit in it. But I like looked at Brent and I was like, did you see that? And he was like, no, what? And I was like, that guy gave us like a dirty look. And he was like, well, I hope he doesn't. Like, but that was like the first place we went to here. And then next, we went to Walmart and CVS. We were trying to find me a swimsuit so we could go to the spa, which we didn't end up going to. But every step of the way, there were people who I could just like feel people looking at me and looking at us, and I was just on edge, like anxious. And it's so crazy because, I get frustrated, like as a Christian, looking at other Christians say things like, like racism isn't a thing anymore, we just have to pray about it, like all this stuff. And like when they aren't a person of color, but we have to think about safety. Like what are the like racial tensions like for moving, vacations, anything in the States, like in America, because when we go outside of the country, we're fine. I was literally the only black person on our island when we went on our honeymoon, and I was treated like a celebrity. Like, they were so nice.
How many different countries have we been to? Like 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Every single one other than the United States is fine. It's literally a United States thing.
Yeah. And it's like, that's not to say that racism doesn't exist everywhere, but the kind of racism that's here is so like just prominent. It's just there. It is like the first thing you see, it's the first thing you experience. But like if you're not trained to see it,
exactly, then
it's just like, oh, it doesn't exist. Like, oh, these people are just, talking about things, or, they want to be oppressed so bad and all that. But that's not the case. Like, I would love to just be able to move somewhere because it's affordable and they've got good houses, and not have to look at how many people of color are in the area, so that I at least know that we could be moderately safe. It's absolutely ridiculous. But word to the wise, don't go to Arkansas during an election. Be safe. I wish we could have brought our guns because, contrary to popular belief, we believe in the right to bear arms.
Absolutely. We're still from Texas.
Yeah, we're still from Texas. Don't play with us. I just overall wish that the world could be a better place, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to create a safer place for our baby girl under the Biden administration.
I want to say something about that. To specify on the whole how prevalent racism is in the U.S., racism is not, I don't think a lot of people understand that racism isn't just yelling the N-word or yelling slurs or literal in-your-face slavery kind of stuff. It is the little things like a little bit too much looks, or it's kind of undercover racism. It's if you grew up in a white family in the South like I did, not saying my family did, but there's plenty of times you're having conversations and somebody will throw out the N-word randomly, or they'll just like general disdain for another minority or something like that. It's so common and not thought about. It's I wouldn't want my daughter to date a black guy. It's just it's enough small stuff to where when the majority of the population thinks those things or feels those ways, it completely changes the day-to-day life of somebody that's on the opposite side of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something you can see regularly. Before she and I dated, I thought racism didn't exist. I thought it existed, but it was the in-your-face, yelling the N-word kind of racism. I didn't understand the subtle behind your back kind of racism.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredibly prevalent. I would not let her just go to Walmart by herself right now. This state and this place is gorgeous. We're on a freaking golf course, like not retirement settlement, but it's what it feels like. It's very high end. It's beautiful. It's very nice. Well, I'm ready to leave. It literally, the way people look at her and treat her and look at us ruins this almost perfect place.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to see that if you're just white, or if you're just, if you're white and your wife's white, you're not exposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think that's why a lot of people have so much trouble accepting that racism is prevalent and it's an issue right now.
Yeah.
And I do not know how to convince other people of it. I don't think you can, really. I think it's going to be generational. I think it'll slowly change over time as people intermix and kids grow up with other races and notice that we really are the same. It's different cultures and stuff, but that's it. People are people.
I like what you said, bringing up the different microaggressions that happen that are like a category of racism, because like you said, it's not just somebody spitting on you or calling you the N-word. It's the like, oh, well, you're so pretty for a black girl, or you speak so well, and those little things that are just like degrading to another person because of the color of their skin, having these negative stereotypes and ideologies about people of color is just so harmful, because it changes the way that you see them, it changes the way that you interact with them, and it changes the way you feel and your empathy levels for when things happen to them. So if this, talk makes you, or you learn anything from this, is just be a good person.
See things from other people's point of view. And hell, if you wanna hear more about our experiences, I'd be glad to talk about it.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, so if you want to see more videos about our experiences as an interracial couple in the South, let us know in the comments down below if you want to see more content about our experience as an interracial couple, because we have stories for days, conversations for days about different topics about how we're going to raise her, things that we'll tell her, and things like that. But yeah, that's all that we have on that topic. Is there anything else you want to say about Biden and Harris?
Biden 2020.
Biden 2020, yeah!
I also want to throw in, if you're a Democrat and you wanted Biden and Harris to win, do not just accept everything they say. Don't do what you accuse Trumpers of doing. If they're doing something wrong or if they need to move in the right direction, you call them out for it.
Yeah.
You call your local representative like you would with a Republican president.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be the person that anything that Democrats are wanting to pass, you're cool with it. Anything that Republicans want to pass, you're not.
Yeah.
Partisanship is literally it messes up our government system completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to be understand that these are humans that are going to make mistakes, and we are not going to have that cult mentality of, oh, well, they're God and everything that they say and do is right and without flaws. We have to be able to say, oh, I didn't like how they handled this and I want them to do this next time, and be able to move the conversation and be able to, you know, make an impact in a way.
Call them out.
Yeah. Hope you like this video. Give it a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.